All right, so we talked yesterday about the Pythagorean theorem. Oops, there we go. And let's make sure I've got this clicked on correctly. Yes, I do. All right, let's just write it down. What is not the converse, but what's the actual Pythagorean theorem? Yeah, so this is something you should always have memorized. All right, it's very easy to remember. Would you agree? All right, it's easy as what? It's easy as ABC. All right, you could say 1, 2, 3, I guess, but I say it's as easy as ABC, right? Because you're going in order. All right, I know the phrase is easy as 1, 2, 3, but I say it's as easy as ABC. All right, so that's your Pythagorean theorem. Tell me something about this. When can you use the Pythagorean theorem? Only when you have a what? A right triangle, okay? This is only used. So when it's equal, everybody see this? I didn't point this out yesterday, but this is kind of what we're talking about today. If it's equal, if I take these two sides, these are my legs, correct? And this is my what? Hypotenuse. Tell me something about the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always the longest side of a right triangle, okay? It is. It's exactly right. Across from, but we don't really say across in geometry. What do we say? We say it's opposite the right angle, right? It means the same thing, but we say opposite. So it is the longest side. It's the hypotenuse. What is this? These are the legs, and these are the shorter sides. Do you agree? Yeah, because if the hypotenuse is the longest, then the others have to be the what? The shorter, okay? Everybody with me on that? I'm going somewhere with this, okay? I promise. So just keep that in mind. So if I had a triangle, we're going to make this super easy. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. What if I had a triangle and you did not know that it was a right triangle? You just know that these are three sides of a triangle, okay? Everybody with me? So 3, 4, 5. All right. Now, you do know from yesterday that this should be a what? What kind of triangle? A right triangle, because it's a 3, 4, 5, right? Remember we talked about a 3, 4, 5 yesterday? All right. So what we're going to do today, the Pythagorean theorem says if you have a right triangle, then what's true? Then a squared plus b squared equals c squared. What does it mean to be the converse? That's the title of this lesson. What does it mean to be the converse of something? We switch the what? The if and the then, right? So the converse says this. If you have a triangle that has this true about it, and what does this mean? These are the two shorter ones, and this is the longest one. Everybody see that? All right. So if you take a triangle, any three sides, if I give you any three sides, and if this is true, then what is it? It's a what? Then it's a right triangle. And that's what we're trying to do today. We're trying to see, is it a right triangle or is it not a right triangle? And if it's not a right triangle, in a few minutes, we're going to figure out what kind of triangle it is. All right? Are you with me on that? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you three sides. All right? We'll start off again with an easy one, 3, 4, and 5. And I want to see, is this a right triangle? So what do I have to do? I got to do this. So what are the A and the B? The two shorter sides. Which are my two shorter sides here? 3 and 4. So what do I do with those? I take the two shorter ones, I square them, and then do what to them? Add them up. All right, so I square this one and I add it to the other shorter one and I add those up, or I square that one and then I'll add them up. I'm going to put a question mark right here, okay? Because right now we kind of know that they are equal because we talked about this yesterday, okay? But let's just pretend we don't know if this is equal to what? What else do I have to do? Take that longest side and square it. Which one's the longest side here? It's 5, and I got to square that. So what I want to do, that question mark means, is this side equal to this? Is the left side equal to the right side? Is it less than? Is it greater than? Okay, and then we can figure some stuff out. So let's do it. 3 squared is 9, plus 4 squared is 16. Okay, again, I'm going to put a question mark here. And then what's 5 squared? That's 25. Now let's continue with this. What's 9 plus 16? 25. And over here you got 25. Now, compare 25 to 25. What are they? They're equal to each other, aren't they? So, watch. If you do that, if you take the two shorter ones, square them and add them up, and if it's equal to the longest side squared, which it is, isn't it? Then what kind of triangle is this? This is a right triangle. And that's what you're trying to do. They're going to ask you, they're going to give you 3 sides, and they're going to say, is this a right triangle? So what's the test? What do you do to figure out if it's a right triangle or not? You take the two shorter ones, you square them, you add them up, then you compare it to the longest side squared, all right? You do all the math, you compare them. What's true about these two? They're equal, so if they're equal, it's a what? It's a right triangle. Does that make sense? All right. Yeah, I think that's good for that. Let's talk about something else. This kind of goes with this a little bit. Notice, the key to this one was it's equal, okay? If they are equal, then it's a right triangle. What if they were not equal? Well, it's a great question. I'm glad you asked. So, if a squared plus b squared, I'm going to be more specific than just saying not equal, okay? I'm going to say if it's less, I'm going to go the other way. Sorry. Let me say this. Let's go back a little bit. We know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared, correct? Could you also write it like this? C squared equals a squared plus b squared? It means the same thing, doesn't it? Okay? So what we're going to do, for these next two, instead of writing a squared plus b squared and c squared, I'm going to do the c first. I'm going to put the longest side first. Is that all right with you? Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. So watch this. If c squared is less than a squared plus b squared, and I'm doing this for a reason, okay? There's a particular reason that I'm putting the c first, all right? If the c squared is less than the a squared plus the b squared, then I'll just put it's an acute. I'll just put it's. Might as well write it all out. It's and let's get rid of this mess. It's an acute triangle. All right? So look, this is not an equals, is it? If I take that c squared, and if that c squared is less than the two shorter, see, this is the longest one. Remember that. You take the longest side, you square it. And then you take the two shorter sides, the other two sides, you square those, you add them up, and then you compare the two numbers. Is that c squared smaller or less than the a squared plus the b squared? If it is, then what kind of a triangle is it? Then it's an acute triangle. So what do you think happens if c squared was what? Greater than a squared plus b squared. Take a wild guess. Exactly right. You would be right. Then it's an obtuse triangle. How can you remember that? How can you remember the less than goes with acute and the greater than goes with obtuse? Because what's an acute angle? An acute angle is what? Less than 90 degrees. Okay, everybody remember that? Okay, it goes back a while, but we've been using it from time to time. So an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. What's an obtuse angle? It's greater than, okay? Do you understand? The less than goes with what? Acute, and the greater than goes with obtuse. Yes? All right, so that's how you can remember which one goes with what. That's why I like to write it the c squared first. If I wrote it the other way, I would have to say a squared plus b squared is greater than c squared, and the greater and acute don't really, to me, they don't make sense. The greater than and the acute, they don't match up. But less than and acute matches up, so that's why I put the c squared first. All right. And let's just do one more. What if c squared was equal to a squared plus b squared? Then what? It's a right triangle. Very good. It's a right triangle. So just knowing the three sides, that's all they're going to do. They're going to give you three numbers, and they represent the sides of a triangle, okay? And what are you going to do? You're going to take the two smaller sides, the two smaller numbers that they give you. You're going to, well, actually, let's do the first one. We're going to take the longest side first. Let's do that first, okay? This is the longest. We're going to take the longest side. We're going to square it, and then we're going to take the two shorter ones, the other two sides that are left. We're going to square them, add them up, and then we're going to compare them. If the c squared is smaller than the a squared plus b squared, it's acute. If it's greater than, it's obtuse. If they're equal to each other, it's right. So you should be able to tell me what kind of triangle, no matter what sides I give you, all right? If it's a triangle, you should be able to figure out if it's acute, obtuse, or right. And that's the kind of thing that they're going to ask you to do. So let's do an example. This is example 3. It's example 3 because this is still 7-3, and we're just continuing with that lesson. So the question says, I'm not going to write down the whole question, but I'm going to read it off to you. It says, determine whether a triangle with sides 7, 12, and 13, okay, is right, acute, or obtuse. That's what I got to figure out. Everybody with me? So those are three sides of a triangle. Is it a right triangle? Is it an acute triangle? Is it an obtuse triangle? That's what I got to figure out. So how do I do that? Which number do I start with? Do I? The 13. Right, because remember I start off with the longest one. Okay, I start off with the C, the longest side. That's right. So I take the longest one and I do that one first. Everybody got me on this? A lot of students, even in my honors geometry, they got it mixed up. All right, they got the less than and greater than mixed up, and they got it wrong. They did the math right, but then they interpreted it incorrectly. And that was my honors kids. All right, so make sure you do it right. So take the longest one, the 13, and we're going to square that. Then I'm going to put a question mark. You don't have to put a question mark, okay? You can just leave it blank if you want, whatever, okay? You can maybe even put a blank right there, all right? But I'll put a question mark. Now, what are we going to do to the other two sides? Well, we're going to square them, and we're going to add them up. Everybody see that? All right, if you got a calculator, it's not too hard. 13 squared, I believe, is 169. All right, put a question mark. What's this going to be? That's 49 plus, that, it's 144, so you should be able to do that. So now we add them up. So 44 and 149 is 49 and 144 is 193. Now, let's compare these two numbers. Okay, we did the math. All we got to do is compare. What is 169 compared to 193? It's less than. So, if c squared is less than, let's go back to this. If c squared is less, what do you think of? What kind of angle do you think of when you think of less? You think of acute, because it's less than 90, right? Okay, so if it's less than, you're thinking acute. So what kind of a triangle is this? It's an acute triangle. And that's your answer right there. Listen very carefully to this, all right? I keep saying this whole period, listen carefully, but all this is important. If this is a quiz question, all right, and the only thing you write down, let's say it's number 3 on your quiz, all right, and the only thing you write down is acute, and that's it. I don't see anything else. And it's right. It's this problem right here, okay? And it's correct. Am I going to give you credit for that? Why not? That's right. You didn't show me why. Okay, you just guessed. You got a 1 in 3 chance, don't you, of guessing? All right? I don't want you guessing. I want to know that you know how to get the right answer and not just by guessing. You with me on that? That makes sense, doesn't it? Would you agree? Even as a student, you got to understand that a teacher wants to know that you know how to do the problem. Yeah? All right. So you cannot just write the answer. you've got to have this stuff. All this stuff has got to be in there. So that means when you do the homework problem, what are you going to do? You're just going to guess and write down acute, right, or obtuse? No, you're going to show your work, okay? This is showing your work, all right? That's, when I say show your work, that's what I'm talking about, right there. So on every one of these problems, that's what you must do. Make sense? Yeah, I think so. Any questions on this? Let's just make up a problem on our own. I'll just take, let's say, example, there is no example 4, so we'll call this one example 4. This is not in the book. We're just making it up. By the way, in order to have a triangle, do you remember this? I can't just take any 3 random sides. What must be true about the 2 smaller ones in order for it to even be a triangle? Now they have to add up to be greater than the 3rd side. Does 7 and 12, what's that? 19. Is 19 bigger than 13? Yeah, it is. So is it a triangle to begin with? Yes. Do you remember us talking about that a while back? Yeah. So that's super important. All right. I don't believe I'm going to give you anywhere it's not a triangle, but you should always be looking for that. Okay. First of all, see if it's a triangle to begin with. All right. 7 plus 12 is 19. 19 is bigger than 13. Yep. We're good to go. We definitely know it's a triangle. Now we can figure out what kind of triangle it is. Is it right, obtuse, or acute? We got that? So now let's come up with some numbers on our own. Give me one side of a triangle. 13. Okay, we used 13 earlier, but that's okay. Give me another one. 6. All right, and give me another one. Now listen, depending on if this is your biggest side or not. So give me another number. 7. Okay, I heard 7. All right, but think about it. Let's think about this. I'm glad he said it. This is not even a triangle, is it? Because if I take the 2 smaller ones, what's it have to be? It's got to be bigger than the 3rd side. Is 6 and 7 bigger than 13? No, it's equal to 13. So can you even have a triangle with those sides? No, you cannot. All right, 8. I heard 8. So do this. So is this a triangle? Yes, because you take the 2 smaller ones, 6 and 8, that's 14. 14 is bigger than 13. So yes, it's a triangle. Now, let's figure out what kind of triangle it is. All right, so what do? Take the bigger one. What's the bigger one? 13, and we square it, and we compare it to, that's why I put a question mark there, this, 6 squared plus 8 squared. 13 squared, we did that earlier. What's that? 169. And what's this? 36 plus 64. What's that? That's 100, isn't it? So this is 169. This is 100. I did the math right, didn't I? Yep, 10, 9, add a 1. Yep, it's 100. So what is 169 compared to 100? It's greater than. So what kind of triangle is this? It's obtuse. Everybody see that? It's not that hard, is it? All right. Sometimes, if you got some bigger numbers in here, it might be kind of hard to square them. But if you got a calculator, it's no big deal. Agreed? All right. So make sure you keep this in mind. Take the bigger one. Always take the bigger one, square it first. And then you take the 2 smaller ones, you square them, you add them up, then you compare the bigger, or the bigger side squared, the c squared, compare it to the a squared plus b squared. If it's less than, it's acute. If it's greater than, it's obtuse. If it's equal, it's what? It's a right triangle. All right, I think we beat that enough, don't you? Yeah, so there you go. So make sure you understand this. Make sure you understand that less than goes with acute, greater than goes with obtuse. That's super important. All right, see? That one and that one. And of course, equal goes with what? With a right triangle. So if they're equal, it's a right triangle. So you have a quiz, and if I remember right, I think the quiz has got like at least 2 problems with this on here. All right? So make sure you know how to do those. And you cannot get away with just guessing, because if you just guess, it's going to be marked wrong. All right, here's your homework. It's 20 to 30. So I gave you what? 1 to 10, 13 to 19 yesterday? Does that sound like what you did yesterday? I don't know. Did I? Let me check. I got it written down in my notes. That could be different from what I gave you. But let me look. Yeah, I just gave you 1 to 10, didn't I? Okay, so 1 to 10. So now we're doing 13 to 19. So, yeah, we're not doing 20 to 30. So forget the 20 to 30. We're just doing 13 to 19. All right, and this is section, 7.3. Call it part B. The one we're going to go over today, the one that was due today, is part A. This is part B. And there you go. That's your homework. Okay, that'll be due tomorrow. Let's answer a couple questions from last night's homework. I'm not going to record that, so make sure you listen up. And then if we have time, and you might have time, work on 13 and 19.